Taking your kids on a trip promotes active learning. And active learning is great for kids. It promotes doing better academically and a lifelong love of learning. And one of my favorite countries that is opening now for travel is Ecuador. And Ecuador for families is a living classroom. Everywhere you look, there's something to learn. And I want to share with you some ideas I have for taking your kids to Ecuador and having them learn along the way so that when they go back and they study these concepts in school, it will click. Hey, I saw that in real life. So let me show you some of my favorite destinations to take the kids in Ecuador. You can do the Galapagos for sure. There's so much for them to learn there. There's the Amazon rainforest. There's the cloud forest. There's the Andes. There's volcanoes, cultural villages you can visit. So many things that you can do. You can go to the equator and talk to them about what the equator means, and that plugs into their geography. So it's a really great destination to go when you want to take your kids. Maybe your kids are homeschooling right now, and maybe you're going crazy at the kitchen table trying to get them to do their lessons and trying to do your own work and get dinner made and lunch and breakfast and all the meals that you're preparing. So if you go to Ecuador, which a colleague of mine was just there, and he felt very safe. Everyone wears their mask there. The rules are much stricter than here, which actually works in our favor for keeping you guys safe. And this lovely hacienda in the countryside of the Andes of Ecuador is a great place to spend some time with your kids where they can do active learning. They can learn to cook. They can milk the cows. They can, they've got really good internet here. They can study their lessons from school as well as learning things on the hacienda. A hacienda is a farm that was normally it was owned by a family, and it's a real working farm, and that's what they call a working farm in South America, hacienda. So this hacienda has they can learn to do weaving. They have llamas and cows and horses and bikes and so many things that get the kids out in nature. They can milk the cows, and then they can go and learn to make the cheese out of the milk that they've milked from the farm. So it's farm to cheese, and this is a great experience for kids to really learn the mechanics of where their food is coming from and see it all the way from the beginning. There's also on property a couple of organizations that are saving the wildlife. They're working to save the bears, and they're working to save the condors. And Jan Tours actually gave money to one of those little cameras that they put on one of the condors to track it and to log it. And that's another thing that your kids can learn. They can, because there's scientists right there on property working with these animals, so they can learn, how they put the monitors on, what kind of information are they taking off of those monitors, and what are they doing with that information, and how does that help them to protect the condors and the Andean bears. And this is all things that they can get right from the scientists. How incredible is that? Then they can learn to lasso, like an Andean kid lassos. They can do horseback riding and biking. So many things to do on the farm in their free time. And then meanwhile, have you guys been homeschooling your kids and working and cooking 3 meals a day? Well, that's one thing that the hacienda will take off your plate. So you can be doing your work on the heavy duty Wi-Fi. The kids can do their schoolwork. They can get out and get some hands-on learning. They can get some activity, some physical activity. And then when you come and sit down at the many tables throughout this estancia, you will get a beautiful cooked meal that has come right from their community. And Hacienda Zuleta does a great job of working with their community,
let me back up to that. They are working with weavers. They work with, a lot of the people that live in their community work in their cheese factory, and they worked on the farm. And so by you going here, you're not only supporting Hacienda Saleta, but you're supporting a whole community. And that's what I like about travel, is I like to spend my money where I'm helping people, I'm helping animals, and I'm helping the environment. So you're getting all of that at Hacienda Zuleta. Then moving on to the Galapagos, which I think that every family that has the wherewithal to do so should have this on their bucket list. The Galapagos is a big science experiment to be experienced. Here they can see it, they can touch it, they can smell it, and all of this hands-on learning. They'll get the concepts that they've learned in science. They'll see things that they've learned in school, but real close and personal. And this is something that will stick with their memory and really consolidate what they've been learning. And then they can write about it, which is also another level of their learning, is, take them home, and maybe that every island they go, they could document which animals they're seeing, and are they seeing any babies? What kind of, what's the season for those animals? And there's so many little things that they can document and log and make a scientific journal of. And this will be really important for solidifying some of the things that they've been learning in school. So, for example, this is a mama and her baby of the blue-footed booby. And the guide is explaining to us that the albatross will try to get their egg. And the albatross will also try to get the food that the mama is giving to the baby. And so this is an example of a little science lesson that your sons and daughters will get right there in the Galapagos Islands. Then they can do snorkeling. And this is so important for studying the ocean, studying the coral reefs, seeing up and close and personal what lives in those coral reefs. You're swimming so close to the nature. The sea lions will jump in and swim with you, so will the turtles. I even swam once with a Galapagos penguin. So it's really exciting for the kids, and you should bring your own snorkel equipment for safety and making sure that it fits the children correctly, because you don't want to be on a boat in a faraway island and not have the mask fitting them nicely. So bring your own snorkel, but this is a great experience for kids, and it also keeps them active while you're traveling. Little underwater experience for you right here. And as you'll see, the kids just really enjoy it. And they can also go and talk to the captain, learn how the captain drives the boat. What are all of those screens for? What are they measuring? Is there a map there? How to read a nautical map. So there's so many things that the kids can learn while they're up close and personal in the Galapagos Islands. And so this is, I took my kids several times. They're lucky they are in a travel family, and we have to go a lot for inspecting things. So we took them several times, and I was really thrilling to see when they noticed something that they'd studied in school. And then to have them go and write a journal, that's something I didn't do. And I would now advise every parent to have your kids writing daily journals of what they're seeing and what they're learning in the Galapagos Islands. And so there's so much wildlife, and every island has a different wildlife to see, and many things to do. They can go snorkeling, swimming, kayaking. They can also do hiking and surfing if you do a land trip. So that's one of the questions that you'll need to talk to us about is, do you want to do a boat, or do you want to do a land trip, or do you want to do a little bit of both while you're in the Galapagos? And we can do really small boats. Right now, I wouldn't suggest any big boats, but we would do really small boats. And if you have a big enough, if you're educating your kids in a pod right now with a couple other families, you can charter a boat, and then we can really get specific and tailor everything to what your kids are learning, what they need to learn, and the special requests that you might have. We could even do add some science, experiments and some math equations into their daily learning so that you could get the whole package while you're traveling. And this will be an experience of a lifetime, and it will turn this situation of being at home into this amazing situation and memory for your family and your children. The other option is to stay on land, and these land options are slowly opening up. And so we can, if you prefer, if you're not boat people and you prefer land excursions, then we can do that too. Then I highly suggest you take the kids into the Amazon or the cloud forest, because this way they'll get to study these amazing plants. There's hundreds and thousands of kinds of plants, insects, mammals in these forests, and there's so many things that they can learn here, and it's a really good experience for your children to see, again, see up close, to study, to talk to the scientists. So one option that I really like is the Mashpee Lodge. It's in the cloud forest. And the cloud forest is more of a land-based program where you are in this amazing lodge. This is the most comfortable lodge that you'll find in a rainforest, maybe anywhere. I mean, beautiful windows where you can see out, but they're closed. No bugs are getting in. It's very pristine and clean. And then the experiences that you do from there, they have a little bicycle that you can go across on the treetops, or they also have like a little basket that you can sit in and goes across the treetops. And studying these trees are a couple 100 feet tall, so studying them from the air is really neat. And then the guides will teach you about the science. This tree actually moves. The branch comes down, and as the branches come down, it moves over the years. So that's a really interesting thing that you can talk to the kids about. They can, learn to use the telescope and the binoculars and walking sticks, and they'll learn about butterflies and frogs and all these things that we may have to go to a museum to see. They're seeing up close and personal. It's incredible. There's many hikes that you can do from there. Look how big those leaves are. The leaves are almost as big as me. So I just thought that was amazing. This just shows how much this forest, how incredible this forest is, that covers much of South America, that we call the Amazon. We call it the rainforest. It goes by several different names. This is the cloud forest, and because it's at a higher altitude, it's called the cloud forest. There's waterfalls you can play in, many things that you can do over the days, and plants to study, hummingbirds to study, birds, all kinds of birds to study, insects. Or you can go to the Amazon. So the Amazon tends to be more around the rivers and the tributaries. So you spend a lot of time going and canoeing and getting into the little waterways and seeing all the wildlife that lives around the rivers. And so this just shows you how family friendly it is. This is a multi-generational group that surprised grandma for her 70th birthday. So this is the kind of things that we can do in the Amazon, and very friendly for families. So you'll go out on canoes and see the wildlife and really get up close to the trees there. Lots of birds and butterflies and nature to be discovered here.